If Apple were to vanish from the world today, the consequences would be profound. The highly anticipated iPhone 15 would remain elusive, leaving consumers to seek alternatives from other tech giants. While another company could potentially step in to fill Apple's void, the landscape of innovation and competition would undoubtedly shift. However, consider a scenario where Samsung, a prominent player in the market, were to cease to exist. In this case, the much-anticipated S24 would never see the light of day, compelling consumers to explore other smartphone options. But here's where it gets intriguing. What if I were to propose that after Samsung's departure, no other company possessed the capability to introduce new phones to the market? This may raise questions about the feasibility of such a situation. Allow me to delve into the details and explain how this seemingly implausible scenario could unfold. Samsung is irreplaceable. Samsung occupies a pivotal role in today's market, and its absence would spell dire consequences for the entire mobile phone industry. The reliance on Samsung is immense, extending far beyond just mobile phones. This includes a wide area of products, ranging from televisions, display panels, electronic devices, SSDs, memory and storage components, small chips, to mobile phone batteries, all of which Samsung manages expertly. Furthermore, Samsung generously shares its knowledge and expertise with other companies, enabling them to develop their own products with Samsung's invaluable support. Consequently, the failure of Samsung would present a far more significant challenge than a mere shortage of chips. Samsung is different from Apple. When comparing Samsung and Apple, both companies manufacture mobile phones, but they have distinctive operational approaches. Firstly, Apple adopts a strategy where it designs the iPhone but entrusts its production to Foxconn. In contrast, Samsung's approach is notably distinct. Samsung operates autonomously, without dependency on external entities for phone production. This means Samsung conducts its own research and development, creates proprietary software, manufactures in-house hardware, produces its own chips and batteries, and manages its distribution network for selling the phones. In essence, Samsung oversees the entire spectrum of operations, from conceptualization to placing the product in the hands of consumers. However, it's important to acknowledge that Samsung's software capabilities may not be as robust. Nevertheless, their collaboration with Google remains robust, with Google often offering Samsung exclusive features and advancements, positioning them at the forefront of delivering updates and innovations to the market. Interestingly, there was a moment when Samsung had the opportunity to acquire Android, but they let the chance slip away, and Google ultimately took ownership of Android. Samsung doesn't rely only on phones. Consider this scenario. In an alternate universe, if Samsung had Android, then Samsung would have had a monopoly in the market. However, what sets Samsung apart is that it doesn't solely depend on mobile phones. When you examine Samsung's business, you'll see it's incredibly diverse. It's often said that South Korea is effectively run by Samsung because the company has a presence in every sector and has accomplished remarkable feats, from contributing to the construction of Burj Khalifa to manufacturing processors. However, they understand one crucial thing: there are limits to what they can achieve in any given field. In today's world, popular companies like Xiaomi primarily rely on mobile phones. But Samsung is different. It doesn't place as much emphasis on mobile phones. Even now, Samsung generates more revenue from selling components in its electronic business related to mobile phones. It's well known that even if they were to cease manufacturing mobile phones, they would still remain profitable. Samsung always looks to the future. One remarkable aspect of Samsung is their constant forward-looking approach. Always considering the future, they recognized the impending arrival of electric vehicles years ago and began developing electric vehicle batteries. They have already integrated EV batteries into some BMW cars and are actively producing these cells for future electronic vehicles. This strategic move by Samsung demonstrates their foresight. They understand that while they currently manufacture mobile phone components, the future will see electric vehicles becoming more popular, with batteries as a crucial component. Thus, they have wisely started producing these batteries in advance. Now, let's shift our focus to AR and VR headsets. Apple recently launched its Vision Pro, but it's essential to note that Samsung has been involved in the VR industry for years. Samsung helps others. Did you know that Samsung, Google, and Qualcomm are all developing their own products here, which will compete with Apple's Vision Pro? It's not the case that if Samsung develops a technology here, it keeps it to itself. Once it creates a technology, it opens its doors for everyone and encourages others to innovate. Take foldable phones, for example. They've been producing foldable phones for over 4 years now. The technology for foldable phones is now accessible for other companies to easily create their own foldable phones with Samsung's assistance. So, what does Samsung do here? It enters every sector and establishes a unique position for itself, a strategy distinct from other companies. Even today, Apple generates the majority of its revenue from iPhones, but they also recognize that they can't rely solely on iPhones forever. Thus, they introduced Apple services and began diversifying beyond product-based offerings. Samsung focuses on different areas. BB's group and the entire Xiaomi group dominate the market. Their biggest issue is their exclusive focus on mobile devices. While concentrating on one thing can be beneficial, it's wise to shift focus when the time for that one thing is past. You can't sustain success by selling only mobile phones for an extended period, and Samsung understands this. They were already aware that the mobile phone industry was becoming highly competitive, so they had to establish themselves as a player that no one could replace. Samsung operates on such a massive global scale that even if one aspect faces challenges, other sectors within Samsung are there to support it. A similar situation occurred with Sony and Nokia, both of which used to be prominent players in the mobile phone industry. Nokia was once the dominant force, and Sony's phones were popular. However, Sony realized that it couldn't thrive in the mobile phone industry for an extended period. Consequently, Sony decided to diversify its focus into other areas. As a result, you can see that Sony's Alpha series cameras are highly regarded now, and Sony's PlayStation is the leader in its field. This demonstrates that if a company doesn't perform well in one area but excels in another, it can still achieve great success. The same holds true for Samsung, but Samsung has elevated it to the next level, aiming to be the best in everything we undertake. This is why if a company like Apple were to vanish from the market, it might not have such a profound impact on the world. However, if a company like Samsung were to disappear, everything would be thrown into chaos. So, this is the story of Samsung. It's impressive to observe how rapidly Samsung engages in resistance development and R&D, consistently innovating. I genuinely hope that the minor issues associated with Samsung such as processors and Exynos can be resolved swiftly. If that happens, it could pose a significant challenge to Snapdragon and MediaTek. What are your thoughts on the future of Samsung's journey? Please don't forget to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Stay tuned for more exciting tech videos. See you in the next one.